Are you considering a trip to Disneyland or California Adventure and are thinking about staying at one of the Disney hotels? We stayed at 2 of them this year, and I will give you my thoughts as well as some tips on how to get the most out of your trip. Hi, I'm Jessica Genung, and I am a mom and realtor living in the Temecula Valley in Southern California. I have 2 kids, Joshua, he's 7 years old, and Bobby is 5 years old. While there are tons of things to do where we live in the Temecula Murrieta Valley, sometimes you just want to get out of town and do something different. So Disneyland, it is definitely a splurge event that people typically save up for. I normally save these splurge events for birthdays or special occasions. So let's get into the tips, and I'm going to give you a little bit of the pricing as we go along as well. Disneyland and California Adventure are located in Anaheim. The entrance to these 2 parks is side by side if you are not familiar, so we are basically talking about the same location. From my house in Murrieta, Disneyland is about 55 miles away and takes about an hour to drive there with no traffic. With traffic, you could be looking at more like 2 hours, so just plan around it and I'm going to tell you how. There are lots of local residents in my area that have annual passes, and you can easily do a day trip. But my recommendation to make it even more special and to make the most of your time there is to go ahead and go up the day before your trip and stay in one of the 3 Disneyland hotels. For Bobby's 5th birthday, we went to California Adventure and we decided to stay at the Disneyland Hotel. It is not cheap to stay there. The hotel was $515 plus tax, which ended up being $603, which I believe did not include parking. We stayed in June, which I'm sure is a peak month with most of schools being out, so that might have contributed to the higher pricing. Also, I did book on fairly short notice. On our second trip, we stayed at Paradise Pier, which is currently being remodeled and rebranded into Pixar Pier, and that was a more affordable choice. The benefits at staying at one of the Disney hotels is that you are within easy walking distance to both park entrances and downtown Disney. Downtown Disney has lots of restaurants and really cute shops, but it does get quite crowded there, FYI. We tried to make dinner reservations a week or 2 in advance of our trip, but everything was already booked up. I heard you need to get reservations much longer in advance. But not to worry, you can still get a table the same day. You just need to show up in person and put your name on the list. You could even put your name on multiple restaurant lists and see which one messages you first. They all have a pretty good text reservation system, so you can walk around and shop or whatnot, and they will buzz you when your table is ready. I'd say the average wait is about 30 to 60 minutes if you show up on the day of without a reservation. My boys love to swim, and that was our main reason for going up a day early. The Disneyland Hotel in particular has the best pool and slides of the 3 hotels, in my opinion. There are 3 pools and 1 spa, and one of the pools contains 3 slides that are designed to look like the monorail ride. Really fun. The best part for me was not only do they provide life vests if your kids are not swim safe, but there were so many lifeguards on duty at every pool, and they were extremely attentive, always watching and pacing up and down the pool deck. They have poolside service for food and drinks as well. As with most resorts, the menu was pretty pricey, and the drinks, which were very cute and festive, were particularly pricey. So make sure that you factor that into your trip saving budget. My one complaint about the Disneyland Hotel was the food. The restaurant and the bar at the pool, which is really the only lunch and dinner options at the hotel, had a weird style of food and it wasn't great. It's described as having Polynesian and island flair, and menu items include like fried octopus, poke bowls, ramen, and poo-poo platters. Sometimes you just want something basic like a club sandwich or similar, but that was not an option. There really are no sandwich options, and the closest to a sandwich is going to be like their Hawaiian burger. Even the items that sounded good actually weren't that good tasting, unfortunately, in my opinion. Real quick, if you are finding this information helpful, I would love it if you would consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. We are going to have more upcoming videos about fun things to do with kids within about an hour of the Temecula Valley. Let's talk about our room at the Disneyland Hotel. We just had a regular room, not a suite or anything, but it was so charming. We were really pleased with it. Disney still has the magic, including the hotel. There were several really special touches. My favorites were this large lighted headboard-like thing that's behind the beds, and it had the Disney castle design behind it, and there was a switch on the nightstand that you could turn on, and it sounded like a music box, and it played "A Dream is a Wish That Your Heart Makes." And I also really love these sconces that look like Mickey's gloves. Lots of cute touches. We didn't know to request this, but they told us at check-in that our room was going to be overlooking the park, which meant that we were going to be able to see the fireworks show in the evening around 9 p.m. That was a really cool surprise. Here is another tip to staying at one of the 3 Disney hotels, and that is parking and traffic. When you drive from my area in the Temecula Valley, you can depart anytime between about 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. on a weekday, and it should be smooth sailing as far as traffic is considered, assuming there are no accidents. The Disney hotels have a normal check-in time of around 3 o'clock, but they will give you pool access as early as you would like. We arrived around 12 o'clock noon. We got our pool key, hung out at the pool, and had lunch until check-in time. Then we checked into the hotel, we got cleaned up, and we headed over to downtown Disney for dinner, which is where Bobby fell asleep, as you can see. We were at California Adventure the next day until about 7 o'clock p.m., and we drove home after that with no traffic. You definitely want to leave after the work rush hour traffic if going on a weekday, and 7 o'clock p.m. departure time was perfect. Parking tip, even though we were there basically 2 days, one at the hotel and one at the park, they only charge you for 1 day of parking no matter what time you leave on day 2. I think the deadline was 12 midnight on day 2. So staying at the hotel and being within walking distance to everything was great because you weren't having to worry about reparking or transportation to and from the restaurants or the theme parks. The self-park at the hotel was $35. The last thing we need to talk about regarding the Disneyland Hotel is Goofy's Kitchen. This is another splurge item just to prepare you, and we will get to the pricing in just a minute, but it was so fun and a really special thing to do with kids if you get the chance. You do not need to be staying at one of the Disney hotels in order to make reservations at Goofy's Kitchen. I do recommend making reservations just in case, but we were able to get a table the day of without them, luckily. We went to the breakfast buffet, and every 15 minutes or so, different Disney characters come out to music and dance around the dining room. You can also get your picture taken with Goofy, of course. We did that right away when we arrived. The food was delicious and there was a ton of variety. They also have a dinner buffet, but I haven't experienced that one personally. The pricing is about $35 for kids and starting at $60 for adults. So for 2 kids and 2 adults, you're looking at around $200, which is quite pricey for breakfast, but you're paying for the experience, of course. They also have special buffets for holidays such as Thanksgiving and Christmas Day. All of these fun things, the swimming, downtown Disney, and Goofy's Kitchen, we did before going to the main destination of our trip, which was California Adventure. By the way, if you are staying at any one of the 3 Disney hotels, you can get into the parks 30 minutes before the official opening time, which is usually 8 o'clock a.m. You just show them your room key. You can enter Disneyland from the monorail in downtown Disney, which is a great way to get on rides quickly. You cannot ride the monorail if you only have California Adventure tickets. We tried to do that. You need either Disneyland tickets or a park hopper pass. We went to California Adventure in June and Disneyland in September. We got lucky with the weather on both days. A week before we were set to go to Disney for the September trip, they had over 100-degree weather, and that would have been absolutely miserable. If you are local to Southern California and your trip happens to have bad weather on the day you're scheduled to go, I would recommend rescheduling if possible. Good weather makes all the difference. For the Disneyland trip in September, our second trip, we stayed at Paradise Pier, which, as I mentioned, is now currently being remodeled and rebranded to be called Pixar Pier, so all the restaurants were closed when we were there. This was definitely the more affordable option. Our room was $387 for one night, and after taxes, it was $452. So that's about $150 less expensive than the Disneyland Hotel. I'm guessing, though, after the remodeling, that prices are going to be going up. I booked this one last minute as well and was expecting to not have a great room, but to our surprise, it was a very spacious suite with a bedroom, separate living room, and 2 bathrooms. It was a little bit outdated and decorated in what I would call Tommy Bahama style and did not have the Disney touches as the Disneyland Hotel, but it was really great to have all the extra space. Disneyland has already begun renovation of the Paradise Pier Hotel pool that will get a new Pixar theme. The renovation represents a major investment in the tens of millions of dollars that they say is going to completely reimagine the rooms, the swimming pool, the lobby, and the exterior of the hotel. So this review might be moot by the time you're considering going, but I will just say that the remodeling is overdue and the pool needed it as well. The pool area is quite underwhelming compared to the pool at the Disneyland Resort. Paradise Pier had just one small main rectangular pool, a spa, and a slide. The one slide was great and my sons really loved it, but the Disneyland Hotel had 3 slides of different sizes. On the flip side, my husband loved the Paradise Pier pool because it was not crowded. The pool is located on the 3rd level and they are going for a rooftop vibe. I will definitely be interested in checking it out once the remodeling is complete, but I doubt that it is going to be able to top the Disneyland Hotel pools. We shall see. Let's chat about the parks. My 5-year-old Bobby especially loved California Adventure because he is really into superheroes, and California Adventure has the Avengers Campus, including a Spider-Man ride and a live show with Spider-Man. There are plenty of rides and shows to keep you busy all day at California Adventure and Disneyland. I had a single park ticket for the California Adventure Day and I did not feel like I needed a park hopper ticket. Also for me, 1 full day at the parks is enough. Again, this is my opinion, but I would rather break the parks up into multiple trips on different days instead of going hard for 2 days in a row at the parks. Our ticket total was $602, which breaks down to $147 for 2 kids each and $154 for 2 adults each. There are definitely better deals out there, I'm sure, but again, I booked this on short notice. I do recommend booking in advance because they are on a reservation system currently, and if you wait too long, the day that you're looking for could be full. Huge shout out to my clients. You know who you are. He is an employee for Disney and gifted us tickets for our 2nd trip. Normally, we would not be doing 2 Disney trips in 1 year if not for them. Let's talk about lines. As I mentioned, we went to both parks on weekdays and over the summer. The lines were actually not bad, but we did splurge on the Genie Plus and the Lightning Lane, which used to be called Fast Pass. It was $20 per person to add this. This was key with small children, and especially because my boys, they are a rowdy bunch. A lot of rides we were able to get on right away, and the longest that we waited in, I think, was about 20 or 30 minutes. Even Pirates of the Caribbean, which is one of my favorites at Disney and is not one of the rides that you can use the Lightning Lane on, only had about a 20-minute wait, even though the sign said it was going to be an hour. Any of the popular rides that you want to go on that do not have a Lightning Lane, I recommend hitting those early in the morning because those lines get longer as the day goes on. The cool thing about the Lightning Lane add-on is that as soon as you check in at one ride, you can get in line on the app for the next ride. It really helps organize the day and make the most of your time at the parks. I'm laughing over here because my husband Chris, he is behind the camera and he says that this video is like a day at Disney. It's exhausting. He's not a big theme park person. Although I will say that he had a surprising fun time. He came on the Disneyland day, not the California Adventure day. I took my mom, but the lines were not long and he said that it was surprisingly not too bad. That's it for this video. We will see you next week. Bye.